body type.
Is it all right if we record this?
Yeah, sure.
Teaching.
Yeah.
And thanks for that. And you were interested in the idea of using hypnosis for physical
So that's the body type.
body things.
Issues,
And you mentioned, kind of a whole plethora of things, warts and
skin
conditions. Skin conditions. Yeah.
Yes.
Like itchy skin or eczema
Yeah,
or
that
rashes?
kind of stuff. Yeah. I've got a little bit of that on the elbow, just a small patch.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, appreciate that hypnosis can be useful for helping with moods, feeling better or feeling stronger or feeling more purposeful or more secure. So, and I think people recognise that hypnosis can be useful for behavioural things. People who do things obsessively or have got habits of smoking or something. But I think there's very little recognition given to how hypnosis can change physiology. And for example, if you were to pay attention to your hands at the moment, not to try and do anything in particular with them, but just to notice your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to pay attention to the sensations in your hands, what you can sense there, I wonder what you might begin to notice as you focus on whatever is happening in your hands. And then allow yourself to become absorbed in that. Some people report that just by paying attention to their hands or their feet or whatever, but in this case your hands, a lot of people notice a certain kind of tingling or buzzing or something. What are you starting to notice?
Well, actually, it's relevant because I get cold hands and feet, so we can do maybe hypnosis on that,
Okay.
A bit of like Raynaud's sort of
thing.
Yeah.
So as you're noticing your hands now, what do you start?
Yeah, there's cold sensations in the fingers.
Yes.
And also in my feet and sort of around the toes and sort of the front half of the foot.
Around the toes and the front half of the foot?
Yeah.
More on the top or the sole of your foot?
More on top and kind of around the toes, I think.
Okay. More on the left or the right?
I couldn't cross that. Yeah, the right.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
This one. Doesn't matter what you call it, but this one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so if you were to notice...
But that one feels more cold, but that one feels a bit numb.
Okay, so if you can notice the coldness in the front, and the top, and the underside of that foot, and the numbness in that foot, and what do you notice about your hands?
Well, I wasn't paying attention to the hands.
No. So. And now, when you pay attention to your hands, what do you notice then?
I think it's a little bit warmer, but this finger is cold, freezing.
So that little finger is freezing.
Yeah.
But the rest of that hand is warmer?
It's not. It's
not as cold.
It's not as cold. It's cold. Yeah.
Maybe even slightly.
Cold on the fingertips. Yeah.
It's cold on the fingertips, but further back on your hand up towards your wrist.
Warmer. Yeah.
It's warmer. Okay. And your left hand?
That's the thing. It's a bit warmer than the right hand.
Your left hand's a bit
warmer.
warmer.
But it's also cold on the sort of like from the joints.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a coldness on the end joints of your both hands.
But this one is not as cold as this one.
Yeah, and this one is a little colder than that, and that one's a little warmer than this.
Yeah.
So if you were to just notice the back of your left hand, and again, not trying to do anything, but just allow your awareness to be on your left hand and the back of your left hand up towards your wrist, between your knuckles and your wrist. And if you were to notice that, and anyone observing the skin of the back of your left hand, and maybe you'd even like to watch that without moving your hand, you'll see that the veins on the back of your left hand are starting to be just a little more prominent. More prominent than your right hand. And often, as the veins are becoming more prominent, it's an indication of increasing circulation, which of course increases the warmth. And if you were to just observe, just notice that tendency for that part of your hand to feel just a little warmer than it already is, warmer than your other hand. And just be an interested observer of the way that is happening. And you can begin to wonder how that can begin to spread. Because your hands know a lot better than you do about how they can feel warm. You've had many experiences, more than you can recall, of being outside on a winter's day and your hands being cold, and your hands have learned how to do that. And they've also learnt the experience of when you come inside and you warm your hands up in front of a fire or a heater or in warm water, and your hands warm up. They know the feeling of feeling warmer. So that's a learning that you have, I could say metaphorically, that your hands have learnt that. All I'm saying is that you don't need to know how you can intentionally warm your hands up, but you have had the experience many, many times. And as you allow that awareness of the warmth, the memory of the warmth, just allow that. I don't know just how soon that warmth can begin to spread down that hand towards the tips of your fingers. How it can begin to spread somehow into the other hand and down towards the tips of those fingers. And I don't know if the little finger on your right hand is going to be the last to feel warm. And just how that warmth can begin to spread down into your foot nearest me. How it can begin to spread into the other foot. It might start around your ankle and then just begin to very, very gradually radiate through your feet. I don't know whether it'll feel warmer on the top of your foot and spread to the underside of your foot, or whether you'll notice it on the underside of your foot and then it can spread to the top of your foot, or whether there's something about the numbness in that other foot. But there's nothing that you need to do, nothing that you need to try to accomplish. It's simply a matter of allowing that process. And I notice you've closed your eyes and your breathing is showing that slowness, the alteration of the depth. The muscles of your face have smoothed out. And while that process is happening, you can allow that to continue at any rate that it is happening. And I can tell you some other things. And you can listen to me or notice the warmth spreading or let your mind go anywhere. perhaps to some very pleasing, very enjoyable, very satisfying experience. And whether that's going to also spread to your right elbow. Last year in Melbourne, one of the people in the workshop asked me if I would see his wife. She was interested to see if hypnosis could help with the problem that she was having with her hands. She was getting numbness and pain in both of her hands. And strangely, her sister was having had the same kind of situation. Her sister had been diagnosed as carpal tunnel, had an operation, and had rather some benefit, but not as much as she wanted. This woman didn't want an operation. And I asked her what she liked doing. She liked gardening, roses in particular, and she liked drawing, roses in particular. And she liked to draw roses, other flowers too, but roses in particular, with coloured pencils. And the particular rose that she liked to draw was a pink rose, a kind of warm pink rose. And she spoke about how she would draw. She would draw the outline very faintly in a neutral colour, and then gradually fill in the space in the outline with that warm pink coloration. And I don't remember all the details. And she said that she felt very pleased, very hopeful after that session. And I said to her, I don't know how or even if this can be helpful. I know it's possible. And I didn't hear about her situation until early this year. And Neil came back to the workshop, that's for a revisit. His wife came with him on the first day, beaming. She said, my hands have been normal. It took about a month. But since then, my hands have been totally normal. No pain, no numbness. And she gave me a gift. It was a framed, coloured drawing of a warm pink rose held in a hand. Like this hand was offering this rose like a gift. And she said, I'd like you to have this gift. And I'd like you to know that's my hand. And I have that framed picture at home. And it's a very lovely drawing of this beautiful, warm, pink rose in this very healthy looking hand. Now, I really don't know how all of that happened for her in such a way that the pain went, the numbness went, Things are completely normal now, better than normal. Now, while I've been talking, you've been doing what you've been doing, and I'm wondering what changes you can notice in your hands, what alterations you can become aware of in your feet. And I'm wondering, what are you beginning to notice, David? What's happening as you're in this?
Left hand's warmer, a lot warmer.
A lot warmer.
Just normal, feels comfortable.
Normal. And has the normal, comfortable feeling spread to the tips of your fingers?
Yeah.
Ah.
And the right hand is kind of almost there. The little finger is still a little bit cold, I think.
It's a little bit cold.
Yeah.
It was frozen before.
Yeah. And obviously it's not, no, it just seems to be normal now.
Normal. Well, I hope it doesn't get too hot. It'd be awful to have if it gets too hot, you can have a kind of a burning, itchy kind of feel. You wouldn't want to go that far.
No, it's not
so what's happening with your feet?
Feet are still cold,
Ah.
a little bit warmer than before, I think.
They're warmer than before.
Or feel more comfortable.
More comfortable.
But in the meantime, I always have sore neck here.
You always have a sore neck.
And
except when you don't.
And now it's kind of eased up a bit. So
it's eased up a bit?
Yeah. Well, it feels more comfortable.
It feels more comfortable. So you're...
I mean, it's still there.
It's still there.
But not, if I tested it, it's there. But if I leave it alone, it's just...
Oh, okay. So as long as you don't test it, it's as if it's not there?
Okay. Or if I stretch it.
Oh, yeah. But if you don't stretch it, just leave it how it is.
Feels much better than before.
Feels much better.
So it was very it was tight.
It feels better and also more comfortable. And did you say even your little finger is now feeling normal?
Actually, the left hand's starting to feel warmer, not just neutral.
It's starting to feel warm, not just neutral. Goodness. Better slow this process down, David, otherwise we'll be in big trouble. And
but
when
the feet are still kind of cold and like them warmer.
They're kind of cold. And you would like them warmer. But they're not as cold as they were. And your right hand's kind of neutral, or a bit warmer than neutral?
Starting to warm, more sort of over the neutral.
Over the neutral. Oh. So I wonder just how soon your feet. My prediction is that your left foot is going to feel warm before your right foot, because your right foot was colder. But you can be surprised. Your little finger in your right hand was the last finger to feel warm, and it was the coldest. So it may have taken longer to warm up because it was colder. And your left foot already was warmer than your right foot. So you might expect it to feel warmer first. And then your right foot can follow that.
I got this pair of really nice Ugg boots at home, and when I come home, I usually work late because I got late appointments. I come home and my feet are feeling very cold. And I stick to put the Ugg boots on, and very quickly within half an hour they're warm up.
Okay. And you know the feeling of the Ugg boots. But not only knowing that they are going to warm up.
I kind of look forward to it.
Yeah. There's some other feeling that you get with those Ugg boots. It's not just warm. There's some particular kind of comfort. And you notice that as you feel the comfort, the more comfortable you feel, the warmer your feet can be. And in some way, that can spread to your right elbow, in some way it can spread to your neck without you needing to pay attention to that or even trying to test it. And just letting that warmth radiate. Because warmth does radiate. And just letting that experience. Like when we were sitting outside before, that sun was so warming. You didn't need to do anything, just absorb that warmth. And like those Ugg boots that you got on, put your feet into the Ugg boots, and even before they start to feel warm, there's that feeling of comfort. And it's as if somehow those Ugg boots radiate warmth to your feet. Actually, it's your feet radiating to the Ugg boots which radiate to your feet. But in any case, that feeling of warmth can move, can shift, can spread. And all you need to do is to allow that. And as you sit with that warming experience, it can also be an opportunity for you to really learn that warm feeling, to become even better acquainted with it. Don't know whether you ever played that game, So High Water, as a kid. Hide something, and then other people try and find it, and when they get closer to it, you say warmer, 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 and you get further away and you say colder, 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 warmer, colder, warmer, warmer, colder. And when you were looking for this room, you're walking up there getting colder and colder. And then So High Water, as you found Mark, Mark found you, started to move towards here, started to feel warmer, finding what you were looking for. And what's happening in your left foot now?
Sort of feeling has changed a bit. It's more like kind of tingling.
Tingling?
Still a bit of cold in there, but it's...
A bit of cold?
Yeah, but it's more like there's something's happening there.
Something is happening there. Yeah. And have you noticed that warmth in your right foot yet?
It's not on the warm side, not on the warm sky yet. It's still on the...
It's less cold than it was?
It's less cold than it was.
It's less cold, yes.
It's because it feels a bit more alive and numb.
More alive than numb. And you notice that as it feels less numb and more alive, that's like setting it up for feeling warm. It's like when you put your Ugg boots on. Your feet are not warm instantly, but it's setting up the warmth.
It's noticed that my lower legs are also kind of cold from the knee down.
And they're starting to feel less cold. And
well, I didn't really think about the legs before, just the feet. So.
Now, I don't know, as you're doing this, if you can start to appreciate how helpful this can be for other people, other circulatory problems that people might bring you. With Raynaud's phenomenon, for example, as you mentioned, which is just an extreme sensitivity, the foot feels cold and then the blood vessels get sensitized to the cold and they close down. The colder it is, the more they close down, the more they close down, the colder it is. So if you can help someone then to feel warmer, to be more comfortable, more at ease, then that allows the blood vessels to begin to open. The more they open, the warmer it is. The warmer it is, the more the blood vessels open. And other circulation problems like migraine. You see how that's going to be helpful for that. Not only the sensations, but the alteration of the actual circulation.
That's what I used to do with biofeedback when I first
Yeah,
started.
exactly. Exactly. About 12 years ago, someone in a workshop, we were just playing, I may have mentioned this, told me he thought he was getting a cold. So I had a hypnotic experience. And mostly we focused on what it was like when he'd had a cold and started to feel better, started to know the cold was leaving. And he reported certain sensations that he was aware of in his nose and his throat that let him know that the cold was leaving. And at the end of that session, there was no sign of the cold. Now, you can look back and say, oh yeah, I don't know, perhaps he wasn't getting a cold, but he was very certain that he was getting a cold. Well, at the end of that time, there was no sign of it. The cold had gone completely. And I had another similar situation with someone earlier this year in a workshop in Hobart. Now, I'm not recommending hypnosis as a way of getting rid of the cold, but you just don't know what we are capable of doing. We don't know the limits of what we can do. Just like that person that you mentioned who was able to remember Kung Fu movies. Anyone can remember war movies and feel warmed by warm movies. And playing warm movies. We can feel warm. And there was a singer. I can't remember her name. She was married to a pianist. I think his name was Johnny Dankworth. And I think her first name was Chloe, and I just can't remember her name. She'd been trained as a classical singer. And one of the songs that she used to sing regularly was called Feel the Warm. Cleo Lane, not Chloe. Feel the warm. And I wonder what would happen, David, if you let your eyes open without disturbing anything. That's it. And to have your eyes open and know that we can have a conversation with your eyes open. And you can allow that process to continue as it is. And the warmth increasing at its own pace. You don't have to push it or hurry it. Just allow it to happen. And even after we finish this session, that warmth can continue to increase. You don't need to intentionally focus on it. You just might notice from time to time, oh, it's still continuing. And it might even be fun from time to time to notice that the warmth isn't there. And then just see how you can let it come back. Like the pleasure of putting those oat boots on. You can just look forward to that. Because if there wasn't the cold, there wouldn't be the pleasure of the oat boots. It's nice to have a range of experiences. And what's happening with your feet now?
Well, they're warmer than before.
They're warmer than before?
But still on the colder side of the scale.
Ah, okay. And your hands?
Hands are warm.
Hands are warm?
Well, kind of neutral.
Kind of.
More warm, yeah. More.
They're less cold, more neutral.
Sort of, they're on the warmer side.
They're on the warmer side of neutral.
Yeah.
How have you done that?
Oh, you talked me into it.
I talked you into it. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I can talk you into things, I hope you brought your checkbook.
I did.
Oh, have I talked you into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think last email.
all you need to do is add a couple of noughts and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, you won't be happy when it bounces.
Just trying to warm up to that.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Anything more that you might want to add?
Well, I mean, the extra bonus is the
Yeah.
relaxed sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there, but not conscious of it, and must do something with it.
Yeah, well, your brain's still there, but you don't need to be conscious of that for it to be doing what it needs to do either.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thanks for being willing to play.
Sure.
And I invite you to wonder how that can translate into the work that you're wanting to do. Don't know yet.
Well, one thing that kind of struck me was this comparisons, check this against that. And it's kind of like it becomes more dynamic rather than just static thing. Yeah, so.
Okay. All right, should we stop?
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, sir.